Welcome back. I am GTF.
And I'm still on.
We are playing a thing, East Oath and Felghana. And this is our first major boss battle.
Exclamation point.
Shiny effects. Giant scary statue thing comes to life and tries to kill us. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. It's nice the game tells you the names of these bosses, but they're usually unpronounceable. And this is pretty much all it is. Don't try to run up there and whack her with your sword. You can't reach her. You have to kill her with fire. This would be like Fortune's dream boss. Basically, if you nail her dead on with a charge shot in the middle, you can deal the most damage, because that'll hit her like maybe 4 times. 4 or 5 times, I guess.
And apparently you can tell which attack she's going to do as far as the throwing blasts by which hand she uses, but if you just always jump and move sideways, it's not entirely necessary to even pay attention to that.
That is quite true. The horizontal ones are always done with her right hand, and with her left hand is always the vertical ones. Other than that, her other attacks was that wind hit that just completely missed me. It's really easy to dodge because it's so slow moving, and this is her most lethal attack. All you do is move forward, get yourself some room, and then run back to dodge. And she's dead. And it took a whole, minute and a half?
Yeah, pretty nifty looking, but not terribly challenging.
At least in normal mode.
Oh, yes.
And we get the Moonstar statue.
Now Adol can transform into Monstar.
And you're old like us if you get that joke. And I'm depressed. I hope you're happy. And Edgar's angry. And the pretty boy is back.
We're finally going to get his name in another couple of lines.
It's not like we've mentioned it all. It's not like we've mentioned it a billion times already.
Oh, there is that.
We were just laughing about how he's just a notch better than Ernst. And yes, this is Chester, the main antagonist of the game. He's a jerk. Let's just leave it at that. Now that I think about it, he's like Elena, he's another one who's got a good deal more of expression in his face portraits.
Although more often than not, that expression is some flavor of pissed off.
Yeah, see, look, there, his eyes changed for a second. Yeah, his facial portraits are a lot less overt compared to Elena's. He emotes a lot more subtly. But, I think Edgar's the only one, aside from them, I think Edgar's maybe like the only one out of these minor characters that has like other face portraits, and as far as Edgar's case, it's just whether he's bleeding or not.
And at least in Chester's case, his facial portrait method of emoting is a great improvement from his appalling voice in the turbo version of East 3.
I can't say I've ever heard, but I'm going to take your word that it's really bad.
Yeah, East 1 and 2 on the turbo had a pretty impressive voice cast. They actually hired professionals, whereas I'm thinking the budget must have gone downhill for the localization between that and East 3, because the voice acting from Wanderers just did a total 180 and became barely better than Last Alert, which is one of the canonical examples of terrible voice acting.
I can't say I've heard of that one either. To me, the worst voice acting possible was always the original Resident Evil. That's just bad acting in general.
I assure you, Last Alert is worse. It's not a particularly exciting game. It's pretty much your straight up, run and gun overhead Ikari Warriors takeoff. But it's worth seeing just for how bad its voice acting is.
I'll make sure to look into it. Another good thing about the Felghana version of Chester is he at least looks kind of cool. If you haven't seen what he looks like in the PS2 remake of him, he looks like a complete tool. weird, like fruity-looking haircut with a strange little Napoleonic kind of looking uniform.
Yeah, he has big gold rope epaulets and such.
Yeah, he was at least sort of generic in his original, in like the original versions of Wanderer's outfit, and it's like just like this black, like school-esque kind of uniform. But except that he had the shoulder pads too. But that didn't even look that bad. It was just generic and kind of boring.
Yeah, just kind of one of those examples of the changing times in which, it used to be that it was okay to have someone sort of normal looking, but anime-style character design post-2000 always has to be really detailed and over-designed.
Yeah, that just kind of backfired with the PS2 version. It works pretty well with Chester anyway, particularly because Count McGuire's really been played up as far as like royal-esque. It matches the theme a little better.
Right.
And this was just a hell of a lot of backstory we just blabbered over. It's really not important. It's just blah blah blah. Chester and Lena orphaned. They lived with me for a couple years ago. And yeah, this is the weirdest thing Edgar ever says.
Yeah, that is kind of strange. I think she'll have an easier time talking to this perfect stranger she met yesterday than, the guy who raised her all her life.
I don't know. I think maybe it could just be because this is like a town of like 12 people and everyone knows each other, and they figure, hey, if he's a friend of Dogi's, he must be cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
Better not read too much into it.
Sure enough.
And here's Paul being depressing. Some guy named Bob is dead. Pay attention to that line. That is actually important. There will be a test later. Yeah, that was, long story short, that was what the shiny thing that we passed up in the quarry was. It was some of Bob's belongings. So we're gonna have to go recover that and bring it to his mopey grandmother.
The old, retrieve the memento subquest.
Oh yeah. Every good East game has one, and ever since, I guess, I don't know what came first. Was it I guess it was the remakes of 1 and 2. There have been escort missions ever since. We're gonna have our own escort mission here too, people.
How does this one stack up to the others in terms of how irritating it is?
Not that bad, really. The kid can get killed pretty easily, but he regenerates health if you just let him sit there for a couple seconds.
Oh, that's handy.
He moves kind of slow, so it's kind of easy to sort of dart ahead, slaughter what's right immediately in front of him, and just keep going. But the quickest way to do it is just to take him on one monster at a time. And Rokas does the only thing he's useful for right now by giving us 7 of all. I don't really feel the need to repeat myself, but I'm going to do it anyway. This game gives you tons of free revolve. And most of it right now is going to be going to Antonio.
And it's no terrible thing if the game, feels a need to overcompensate after the stinginess with MLS in E6.
Exactly. It's more than welcome. And besides, Antonio's quotas start getting kind of high and sort of demanding. So it works up pretty well.
Indeed.
Yeah, the greasy ramen bastard. But at least he pays well. And money is a lot more important than Laval, really.
So, hooray for mutually beneficial exchanges.
And Hugo's complaining about the fact that he has to play with the only other kid his own age.
Because certainly it would be more fun to play with the crusty miners.
Apparently so. Hugo is yet another one of these little NPCs that will play an important role for one minor little subquest for one reason or another. It's worth going through just to get the item. And this was the one I was looking for earlier. That's Fiona, that's Harold's wife. Here's one of the 2 times Anya proves to be useful. Talk to her, and then inspect the well, because she sees something shiny.
It's a hell of a reach on that, Alder.
3 revolve. 3 is not much right now, but it's enough. But that and what Rokas gave us is enough to meet Antonio's first quota. I got the shinies, yes. And yeah, it's just Reval, you know. Boring old Reval. It's just, it's nothing important, just the lifeblood of the town.
Which kind of makes me wonder why someone just kind of casually hugged it down a well, but...
Yep, and here's Anya now telling us how nice Chester was. Who would have guessed he's quite a jerk when we meet him. And I thought she had something else to say. And here's where Bob's house was. Here's his mopey grandmother. Look at her, she's so mopey.
Did you actually see the collapsed bridge? Sniffle.
Well, what's left of it?
This Arval didn't die.
Let's see, I get a little lost here. I forgot I need to go into the inn. Because, might as well talk to everybody. Here's Joel being kind of depressing. And this...
Yeah, I could see why massive taxing and forced labor would kind of make a leader relatively unpopular. Just a little.
Not to mention hiring crusty mercenaries from out of town.
Indeed.
If I sound different, that's because I'm on drum mode.
I figured.
But
And
sorry to randomly.
that's quite alright. More the merrier. And we get to talk about, listen to Randolph be drunk again. He'll give us an item sooner or later. And Margot's got nothing really good to say. Again, people just can't fathom that Adolf fights giant monsters. Let's see, he killed fucking Darm, the ultimate evil of this world. I'm sure he can take a giant monster in a mine.
Yeah, you would think the whole, Darm thing would have made the rounds by now.
He just saved an entire floating country. I mean, nobody's gonna hear that.
It's a floating country, and therefore nobody really knows about it.
Everybody,
legend. It can crash under the ground, so yeah.
Well, here's Antonio taking our Reval.
I guess the PvPs don't get out much.
Let's get... yes, occasionally you can talk to Antonio and he'll give you this blatantly obvious hint of something you're going to be finding later. A device that harnesses the heat of lava. Oh, like we're not going to find that soon. No.
I can't imagine that coming up.
Let's just give him his Reval now. 10 for 500, that's not bad, we need the money.
Getting paid.
Next he's going to want like 50, I think. Yeah, 50. He makes a big jump after the 50. The 50 quota is not hard to make in the next dungeon. But, like, after you fill that one, he's gonna want, like, 200.
Ugh.
Yeah, but you're probably not gonna be able to make that by the time you get out of the next dungeon or so, but once you go through the mines, that will definitely be enough. You'll definitely have enough by the end of the mines to meet that one. And then
that's cool.
After that...
It ends up...
Go on.
It ends up just being a little bit longer of a wait to hit the next quota rather than any cause for grinding.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, at that point in the game, there's really not many monsters to decently grind on because nothing will consistently drop Reval.
Does there ever come a point in the game where Reval is a common drop?
Yeah, by roughly near the end game, like the final stretch or so, like after you get out of the mountains.
It's the last opportunity to do any upgrades you haven't managed yet.
No, you'll always be able to you'll always be able to go back to town and get your upgrades. You'll still be getting...
Well, I mean, with respect to
getting...
getting the funds for it.
I still think I'd still say you can pretty much go and get your stuff anytime. There's really no point of no return. Even when you go to the final dungeon, you always are able to just head back.
So pretty much standard East 4.
Yeah, more or less. There's very rarely a point of no return.
Well, no, is it East 1 or 2 that has the dungeon you get in and that's half the game?
That's one.
That's one. Good old Darm Tower. And here's a suspicious-looking guy we haven't seen before. Who could this be?
Oh god, it's Bridget. Oh wait.
Now that was mean. That was uncalled for.
Oh, you'll find I'm all about the uncalled for commentary.
Oh, what has Bridget done to us? Has made us so distrusting. Nothing is what it seems anymore.
Head of the Felghana diocese. You have to wonder what kind of diocese it could really be for a town.
It's true. We only see like one town in the entire map of Felghana. Apparently there's only 2 churches, this one and the one in the castle. Guess that's as far as this religion goes. And Bishop Nicholas, once again, has a full-body portrait, so that means he's important. Pay attention, people. This will be on the test later.
And by test, we mean we're probably going to have to end up lacking something of the sort of say.
Usually.
Yeah.
That's usually how these things go, but we've sort of fulfilled that quota enough with Elena right at the beginning of the game. Although we're gonna have to do that with Kristoff, McGuire's kid, soon too. We're gonna have to hack up a lot of stuff to escort him back to his house. Pain in the ass kid.
Hopefully it's not as annoying as the annoying-ass escort mission on the pirate ships in E6.
Oh, I hated that one, because first off, Terra's a pirate herself. She should at least be able to fight for herself.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand, like, her not having a sword at the start, but after you kill the first pirate, couldn't you just, like, pick one off a corpse?
Yeah, I mean, she's like a seafaring pirate. You'd think she'd be able to at least hold her own in a fight. I mean, okay, fine, the tribal priestess you're in the process of saving, fine. I can understand her not being able to defend herself, even though she's often shown with a freaking bow. I can understand that, but still, two frigging meatbags to drag around at the same time.
Yeah, between that and the just horrendous voice casting, it's like the game really wants you to hate Terra.
Yeah, that game gave you both. They gave you an option for both soundtracks, and that both English and Japanese, and she's not well voice acting either of them.
However, the entire voice acting cast was made up for by Doji's voice actor, who was just consistently hilarious anytime I heard it.
Well, Doji's awesome like that.
Hey, wanna get your walls crushed?
This is what I mean by prices getting really expensive really quickly. And,
No, I guess they've got a fairly limited selection of equipment they have to spread across the whole game.
yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Which is kind of a cool in these games so far.
I guess. And what Cynthia was telling me before, if I didn't find the ruby by solving an incredibly hard Llama Llama-esque puzzle of lighting the torch, she would have told me that there are gem slots in the bracelets I could probably shove stuff into. But since I already have that, she's just impressed that I set the stone myself. Because Adol's a jack of all trades like that. He's also a jeweler.
At the very least, this game doesn't make you spend... You know, this game lets you spend your money on weapons instead of having to farm for MLS, which took me forever in 6.
Yeah, pretty much. We went over that earlier. The only way to get a decent amount of MLS in any amount of time was to do those horrendous trials of Alma, which were only in the PS2 version, apparently.
Oh yeah, I spent actually, like, 4 hours just, like, kind of sequence breaking and spending some time up on that one mountain, like, way early in the game, and just trying to, you know, mess with the enemy's AI so they didn't leave me too bad. Just farming MLS for as long as I could.
Yeah, kind of forced to do that. And Gardner's not going to tell us anything new, nothing nobody else hasn't been telling us. Oh, Father Pierre left town suddenly.
I hear he's going to the ruins. The ruins. I repeat, the ruins.
The ruins are that way. Did I mention the ruins?
The only thing else we could do is a big sign that says, "Don't go near the ruins. Last chance not to go near the ruins."
Yep.
Or if it's being a little more fourth wall breaky, next section is the ruins.
Yep, I'm gonna head there next, but I'm gonna save first. I'm gonna call that a night. See you next time. This has been GTF.
And this is On.
And this is Gogi Friend.
See ya.